Manchester United 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Tottenham come back to draw. What's good, guys, and welcome to another episode of Mini Football Logic. It's Zeno here, and today's episode we're going to be discussing the draw between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur that happened in the Premier League yesterday. Now, before the game started, people viewed it as maybe perhaps a more likely Tottenham victory. Obviously, naturally, in the Premier League, historically, United have had a great record against Tottenham. I think they've won like 24 games. It's a lot of games to be winning in the Premier League against one side. And historically, you know how the dynamic has always been between Man United and Tottenham. You know, the classic, Alex Ferguson quote, lads, it's Tottenham, blah, blah, blah. But, right now, in this present day, with Tottenham defeating United 2-0 at White Hart Lane, the gap isn't as big as it once was. In fact, now you could even say Tottenham are a better side than Man United based on the performances this season. Nonetheless, into the game itself, United actually started off pretty well. They put on the pressure. Tottenham were a bit sloppy coming out. After all, the midfield, Skip, Højbjerg, and flipping Bentancur, where there's no creativity there at all, they were always going to struggle. And so it proved. Man United's midfield had a bit more bounce to it. Much more balance to it with Mainu and Fernandes and Eriksen in there. So they had the mixture of playmaking, creativity, and control. Tottenham just had the energetic running and stamina merchants and all this kind of stuff. But anyways, let me not go too deep into that. Skip actually played really well, Højbjerg less so. Bentancur is Bentancur, of course, another fantastic performance despite all the injuries and all that kind of stuff. He's continued to be a very strong, consistent, standout performer. Nonetheless, United did take the lead. Højlund smacked into the roof of the net. It's only his second or third Premier League goal. I think it's his second Premier League goal. So obviously maybe he's starting to build a stream of momentum because those two goals have come in recent games. And but then obviously Tottenham equalised Richarlison from the corner. Like throughout the game, Tottenham had a lot of corners and set pieces, and Pedro Porro was doing very well with them. Now, during the game, he wasn't so good. I think when he was inverting and getting the ball inside, he wasn't his usual self with the ball. He wasn't good with it. He made a couple of sloppy passes. But I think that's naturally the pressure that comes from maybe your role becoming much more important because of the lack of options, creatively in the midfield. So, all in all, it was just like maybe he felt that responsibility and he couldn't handle it. I don't know. Rashford cooked him throughout the game as well, which didn't help. Rashford, this was one of his better performances this season, if you could even say that. He had power on the string throughout the game, and it really was tough for him to handle him at some points, but he did his best. All of that kind of stuff. But yeah, Richarlison scored from the corner. Porro ripped it in. Obviously, it was weird because the set pieces kind of were like repeating themselves because it was like Bentancur would run to the near post, no one would follow him, ball would go in, and United would be all at sea. There's a reason why United are up there with the teams that have conceded the most goals from set pieces. Tottenham should have actually scored more from these corners. Bentancur had a chance that got cleared off the line. Romero hit the bar once United took the lead again for Rashford. Again, that goal was a bit messy on Tottenham's side again. Sloppy, passive defending. The ball kind of bounced off Porro, was it? Who was struggling with Rashford throughout. I'm telling you, it's peak. And then he got the ball, he rolled it into the corner. For once, Rashford got the ball and he ciphered it. He didn't just put his foot through it. He actually read the situation there. He knew what kind of finish it required instead of just smacking the ball. And yeah, and then obviously Tottenham managed to get back into the game one more time as soon as the second half started. Romero with a defence splitting line breaking past the Skip. Skip released Werner cut inside, found Bentancur showed some composure, rolled into the box and smashed it past Zanana, who now has to go to AFCON for the game they're playing, the AFCON game they got tomorrow. Well, I say tomorrow, today now, once this episode comes out, so it's a bit mad. Let's see if he even plays. I don't think he will. But all in all, looking at the performances of the two sides, I think Tottenham will come out of it with much more, pride, you can say, much more pleasure, because even though they did start the game off a bit weak, and once United took the lead again to make it 2-1, they did lose control of the game again for a bit. But what was really good is in the second half, they then managed to regain control, despite the limitations they had, particularly in the midfield, because the defence is at 100%. Their first choice defence was there. So 2 goals conceded, not great. Nonetheless, in that midfield, they didn't have a lot of control, but they still managed to, have a lot of the ball, have a lot of possession, and they really were able, well, let's be honest, the common weaknesses that, I have seen personally in Tottenham, when they have a lot of the ball, they don't create chances, it's exactly that. they get the ball and it's kind of just like possession for possession's sake. They just pass the ball around, back and back and back. And then when the end of the game came around, United were the ones actually putting more pressure on, and Tottenham was sitting back. So it was a bit odd in that sense, but maybe that's something Postecoglou will iron out with time once more quality players and more players that actually fit the system start to come in. When I watch Højbjerg out there, it looks like he just doesn't fit. Like games like this make you realize, yeah, like he is a good player, but for this kind of system, I doubt it. He just doesn't have the vision. Sometimes he doesn't see the pass, but he should. Sometimes he hesitates. There was one pass where he kind of had Werner like behind Dallo. He just hesitated for like about 2 seconds, and Werner was offside. If he passes that ball a bit quicker, Werner's through. You know, and then you got the likes of Ben and Johnson, who continues to show that there's something in there potentially, but it's not coming out right now in this moment in time. And he continues to make poor final balls and poor decisions in the final third. And you just have to hope that naturally, with more experience and more playing time in the system, he would start to get it right. Richarlison, once again, pretty good, continues to work hard. That's what he does. Got himself another goal. If he carries on like this, man, maybe Tottenham might not need to sign a striker, Who knows? But we'll have to see. Overall, he continues to do what he's best at. Of course, Tottenham will want someone with a bit more quality, a bit more clinical, bit more, aware in the final third to find other players. Because I felt sometimes he put his head down and he was just trying to shoot when he shouldn't have shot, or he should have looked for more options. But overall, it was a decent performance. At the end of the day, Tottenham were playing close to the maximum capacity because of the defense being there 100%. But midfield was lacking. The front three isn't their front three either. But despite all of that, they were still able to put in a really tidy performance and were able to push Manchester United. Obviously, Man United have the infamous record of basically never losing for the last, 10 years or so. There's been a lot of games where they've just taken the lead at half time and they've not lost. Tottenham probably pushed that as close as they could, more than any other team during that period of time, potentially. But literally, it's like United themselves, I think, they had a lot more in their tank. But this has been the story of this season, up and down performances. Obviously, the Tottenham game was much more of a positive one compared to the Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest performances, and more in line with the Chelsea game, where they completely ran the show against Chelsea. It's like that inconsistency, that up and down. Mainly the kid in midfield, he is a real talent. Now, I know United fans are really high on him, saying he should be in England squad. Of course he shouldn't be. He's not ready yet. But the reality is that he will be ready very soon. Maybe Euros ain't a step too far for him, because we all know how weak England's midfield is, even though I believe they have their solution right there. They have the players already to make a strong midfield. But that's my own opinion. Mainly was definitely a talent for sure. Eriksen did his thing in there against his former team. Bruno's Bruno, so, he did his thing as well. Great pass to Rashford for the first goal. So he was really solid too. So obviously, I think with United, this is another positive result for them, but they need to now back it up with another good result, because this season's been really up and down. The fact they went into this game behind Chelsea says a lot. Obviously, the draw gets them back ahead of them now, but that's not great. United and Chelsea have just been fighting for who's the worst team out of the traditional quotation marks Big Six this season. It's not been great. And obviously, in the build-up to the game, people were talking about the two fortunes between, the two managers. How Postecoglou's coming and turning around Tottenham so quickly, while Ten Hag, it feels like he's stagnated a bit and he's going back even in terms of the development he has instilled into the team, and that Postecoglou's been able to impose his style of play and identity into the team, regardless of the quality of players that he has available to his disposal. While Ten Hag has been able to spend all kinds of money, and instead of the team getting better, they've gotten worse, meaning they are questioning his, talent ID, his recruitment. Players like Onana and Anthony have not shone as much as they should have. And that's the simple reality. But Højlund is a big plus. Of course, he's extremely raw, but the kid has a lot of potential. Obviously, we call him a poor man's Haaland, all that kind of stuff, because it's just easy to do that. Scandinavian vibes and that, but he can be an incredible striker in himself. But, they got to give him time. So it would help that even Manchester United got someone a bit more experienced to back him up. And so he can learn off that player, so all of that kind of stuff. But Rashford's had a terrible season, let's be honest. After scoring 30 last season, that was only his fourth goal. So he's not been that guy this season, and maybe this goal might help him with his confidence. But even for the first goal, the Højlund goal, he just took too many touches. He just kept dribbling and dribbling. He needs to release the ball at some point, either to shoot or to pass. But, he definitely gave Porro a torrid time. And it reminded everyone, I guess, of maybe of Porro's defensive deficiencies, because this season he's masked them so very well. This game kind of brought it back to that. It was probably his worst performance of the season, which shows you how well he's been playing all season, because he didn't even play that badly, you know. But obviously Varane was solid at the back. Wan-Bissaka was very good. Werner and Brennan did not get a sniff. Dalot and Wan-Bissaka were amazing. They were very good. Dalot's always been questioned defensively, but he was solid in this game. Wan-Bissaka's always been good defensively, and he was a bit smooth on offense too. I liked some of his touches, you know, little ball rolls here and there. Yeah, he's got it in him. He's got it in him. But all in all, a 2-2 draw. Obviously, Ten Hag was talking about how disappointed he was, and Postecoglou was talking about how proud he was. You know, or happy he was. Okay, happy he was with the performance and the result. When in reality, when you watch the game, Tottenham had the best of the game. And even though they didn't create any completely clear-cut chances, they could have easily. But as we know with the midfield problem they currently have, where none of the creative options are available, Kulusevski was ill, Lo Celso was injured, and obviously Maddison's been injured. You know, that's 3 attacking players that would have been in that midfield that would have probably made a difference. Those chances weren't able to be made. That's just how it is, you know. But all in all, it's a good result for both sides in hindsight. Of course, United would be disappointed because maybe they could have played better and taken advantage. Because they did have the lead twice and they let it slip twice and Tottenham fought back twice. You know, so that's where the disappointment will come for them. Anyways, I think I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for listening and or watching. And I'll catch you in the next episode of Mini Football Logic.
Mini Logic.